Hey, in this video I'm gonna show you how to debug unit tests specifically for Compass, and I'll just go through a small example. So right here we have a unit test for the load profiles endpoint, and the goal is to load some profiles with some filters, the name and the smoker. And right now, if we just run the test, we are seeing that it's loading, and then we see that the query that has been called in the load profiles function is as follows, and we can see that it's querying the profiles, so from the profiles table, the name, username, and the data in the users table, as well as the user activity. And it's joining by the ID, and it's limiting to 10. But we don't see that it's filtering by name or smoker. So there is an issue in the test. So how can we determine the source of the issue? Well, one easy way to do so is to simply use the built-in debugging function. Right now, I like to use WebStorm instead of VS Code, because WebStorm is specifically tailored for web applications, but VS Code may have pretty good debugging tools as well. So on WebStorm, you can simply go here. So the test is here. You just right click, or you come here, and you just first you set a breakpoint, then you start to debug, and you arrive there. So then you just go inside, you step in. So here the database client has been mocked by in the test, because we want to return. We don't really want to return anything. We don't really want to call the client within the unit test to avoid network requests. So we just mock it, and we return nothing, just an empty list. And we are gonna check if the mock is working. So we just start it, and we see that PG, here we have access to all the local enclosure and global variables, so that's why debugging is very useful. We arrive here, and we just see that PG is defined as an object with just so a dictionary that has a key map and a function. So that's exactly the mock. If it wasn't mocked, we would see a type of Supabase client instance. And we just check, we can check the props as well. So the props are correct. We see that it needs to filter by name and by smoker. Yeah, so we see that keywords. Here we can just hover it and see that it's correct. There is John, so it needs to filter by the keyword that is John. And now we are gonna get closer to the most likely source of the issue. So the query building is here, and it's a pretty long query, but what we can know from before is that this function render SQL is simply a general function that we just batch join all the different requests line by line. So basically, it's almost it's very unlikely that that there is an issue in the render SQL. So most likely it's an issue in how some lines are instantiated. So we can just go one by one. Right here we don't really see the result of each, but I'll go here later. So it goes one by one, and then yeah, up. Okay, so then that's the end, and here we can see that the query is here, and that where, yeah, we don't, it's hard to see it in the debugger, but basically this is what has been logged before. So here the pg.map is going to be mocked, so it's going to return an empty list, and here the mock pg, this will return what has been called, so basically the value of the query. So we see the SQL query here, and we can view it, and we can see that, well it's just gonna be rendered in the logs, and here we can see that this is what we got from running it. So basically there is an issue in how each line is created in this in the query here, and most specifically here we see that the select line is correct, that the join line is correct, and sorry, and yeah, and the limit is correct. So the limit is at the end, I guess, and the limit is correct. But there is an issue with the where, because well, there is an issue with the this smoker and with the keywords here, and both of those are actually using the where function. So most likely there is something weird with the where method. It seems like it's returning nothing, and that would explain why the render SQL function doesn't really bundle it inside the query. So we can just go inside the where, and so the where is also defined in the Compass code. It's not a library function. So we just add a breakpoint there, and then we just restart the debugger. We just continue. So we arrive here, and then we can see, we can step over, and we see that what is the clause? The clause is looking for matches equals true, and format value is undefined. So normally it should simply return something where, like the SQL clause, where this, so looking for matches equals true. And actually we see that here where is undefined. So that's wrong. Where should be the clause actually. Actually, this is just a formatting function that would just take the clause and add some. If the clause has some variables inside, it would just replace the variable name by its value in the format value dictionary. So basically we see there is an issue with this function. It returns nothing or undefined, whereas it should return the clause. So let's just see what it is. So I just hover over it, and then I see, oh, PGP, what is it? It's a function that returns a mock. And so basically it's just telling us that this function has been mocked. And most likely it's been mocked by something that returns nothing or undefined. So that's the root cause of the issue. We just realized that PGP is just a formatting function, like object. Well, formatting.s.format is a formatting function which shouldn't be mocked because it doesn't have any link with the database and so on. So I can just go and check where it is defined, and I see, okay, so PGP is simply a type of PG promise, and PG promise is simply some type of library that doesn't really have much to do, that doesn't call the database right away, which confirms that we don't really need to mock it. And then we see, okay, so this file is in the subabase folder, init.ts, so there are probably some database things happening here. So I see that it's calling the get instance ID for the database, and here I see that there is const new client equals something, and that will return the yeah, so that will call the, this is where the database will be instantiated. So and here this is where it's called. But actually we see that so we can see that in hindsight why there may be a good argument for mocking that function, but it seems like there is an issue with the mock, because it shouldn't mock everything here. It should just this should not be mocked. So I just go back to the initial file, the test file, and then I check the mocks. So I could just, what I would do is, so if I really don't find the mock, I would just delete this mock to see if that's the cause. And actually, if I do it, it wouldn't. I did it before. It wouldn't. The issue would still be there. PGP would still be mocked. So I check it outside, and I see that there is a mock here as well, which is a mock for a whole file, a whole module. And this module is exactly the module that we are talking about. So that's the root cause of the issue. This is mocking the whole file, and it shouldn't. So basically it could just mock. So here we're now switching to not really the debugging phase but more of the solution phase, and we see that there is a rationale for mocking this but not for the whole file. So one solution would just be to mock this function, or if mocking this function is too complex because it's called in other places and it would mess up with the thing, like client here, you would need to create a mock that has the pool attribute, etc. So one other potential solution is simply to move all the functions in this file that depend on new client to another file, and then we mock that other file so that we can keep the PGP parser here intact without mocking it. And then we just go back to the test. Sorry. Yeah, so that's the debugging process. Yeah, I think that's all. Cool.